So before we begin this talk today, I'd like to acknowledge that we are gathered today on the unceded lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. I would like to pay my respect to all First Nations elders, past, present, and emerging, as the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work, and create. I'm here today with Mel Stringer for a digital artist for this year. And Mel will be creating some very whimsical illustrations for our project. And 4A Digital was kind of conceived as a way of responding to this time and making art accessible to everyone as well. So Mel, what I guess what have you been thinking through and working on for your upcoming projects?
I thought that I would create something that was similar to the diary entries that I've been working on for my zines. A lot of black and white. It's digital stuff, but the pens that I've been using have been sort of inky, so it looks like it's drawn on like traditional paper or something. And just basically been drawing about having a hard time in the US and enjoying like going on walks and spending time with my partner and stuff, because there's not much else to do. So yeah, I've just been trying to express it in like diary entries.
Yeah, I think that there's kind of been this real shift towards people examining the everyday and these quotidian moments as well, with just observing the small moments that we go through in life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's a lot more retrospective, having a really hard time having to look at yourself for so long because you've got nothing else to do. Like the other day, the internet went out for about 24 hours and I did not know what to do with myself. It was really difficult. Like I listen to the radio digitally, I only watch like Netflix and YouTube. I don't have like real TV. And, it was the worst.
Yeah, just with the nature of your work as well and your fan base kind of contacting you through the internet, it's kind of the main port of call.
Yeah, and talking to family and friends as well. So I was just, I dug up a radio that has non-digital signal and was listening to that, and then was just working on my iPad with no other connections for 24 hours. Oh, and at nighttime, my husband and I watched Kiki's Delivery Service on DVD because he found that. I'd never seen it before. I was like, it's Halloween, I should watch it.
So your practice up until now has been a lovely range of pen and paper illustrations, capturing and documenting various things that occur in your life. And they're usually drawing from these kawaii or cute and nostalgic works that respond to popular culture, but also to women and I guess what women go through life. And I guess your 4A Digital works will respond to this as well, as like a personal diary almost.
Yeah. The work that I'm making for 4A Digital is definitely going to be like my works that I've done for my zines, and it'll be like comics, and I feel like you said it all.
No, I think it's really nice because people can kind of respond to your works in a very like, oh, I've gone through this moment.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Yeah. When I'm making that sort of work, I'm expressing what I'm going through, and sometimes it can be very, very personal. And it's kind of thrilling throwing out really personal work, because I know that I can have people judge me very harshly for it, like, oh, that was TMI, or I didn't need to see you naked, or I didn't need to see your boobs, or whatever. But then there's people that are like, oh, my boobs look like that, or I've cried about being in lockdown. And so hearing from people in positive ways is really uplifting, and it's actually probably one of the things that keeps me going. Because I've been thinking about seeing a therapist about all of the stuff that's been going on in the US, because it's a lot to have, you know, taken on board, especially being away from home. But then I was like, hang on, my audience is kind of like my therapist, because I'm constantly telling them all the stuff that I'm going through. And so, yeah, free therapy, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how, I think especially when you're isolated, that point of contact is so important.
Yeah.
Also for other people, like interacting with your work and Tumblr and Instagram as these online platforms. I think it's a real comfort to find that unity with other people.
Yeah.
You're so far apart.
Mm-hmm. Something about the internet that makes people feel connected. It's like the internet's really good for that. Having people know so much about me before they meet me is very strange.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
they'll bring up things and I'll be like, how do you know that? Or yeah.
Yeah, I think with artists, they always traverse these curious lines of being kind of public facing and having like a public profile, but then a lot of the work that the artists produce comes from a very personal place. So
Yeah,
people do know.
you can't escape it.
Yeah, yeah.
I even do the same thing with, like, you know, artists that I like or musicians or whatever. I want to talk about some of the personal things that they've gone through in certain songs. Oh, I related to that song. I related to that artwork. And then I'm like, you don't know me from a bar of soap. You don't want to talk about your breakup or, you know, your dog dying or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's quite bizarre, really. Kind of are very intimate with people. Even seeing people perform live as well. They might share things out into the darkness of the audience, but yeah, it's
it feels like that.
yeah. You recently started the Cute Butt Club on Discord, right?
Yeah.
Could you talk about that and maybe what it means to you to have started this group?
Sure. I got really depressed recently about Instagram, because you know how Facebook own them now.
Yeah.
When I post things, not as many people get to see it, because the algorithm goes, oh, we want you to pay $30 if you want more than 50% of people to see your post. Or not even 50%, like, and so, you know, I can get 200 likes on something, but I have like 103,000 followers on Instagram, and it's like, I worked so hard for those like people to follow me. And so I was talking to a bunch of other people on Instagram about how that was happening, and a lot of other artists were saying how they were getting really down about it, and how they longed for the Tumblr days, you know, when things were more linear. You could just like scroll through and see things, how they were presented or how they were posted from people. I decided I would create a Discord and have people come together on there and be able to chat and share their artwork. And I didn't know what to call it. I was just going to call it like Mel's Discord server, which sounds super dorky. So I thought, oh no, I'll call it something cute. And I have an artwork called the Cute Butt Club anyway, so just riffing off that.
Yeah. Do you guys bring up cute butts in conversation? Not really. It's just...
You know what? That hasn't happened once. So I think everyone just assumes if I'm part of the club, I automatically have a cute butt.
I guess during this time, like emerging from the aftermath of COVID as well, like the boundaries between what feels real and imagined and like the digital have become so blurred. And I guess I was wondering how you felt about making art during this time.
Making art during this time has been really, really weird and like very reflective. COVID happened around the time that the protests and riots happened. And also my dad had a heart attack around that time, but he survived. But all of that all at once just was so confronting and so much to handle, as well as being away from home. So my art really reflected that. Like, I was writing comics about, like, I need something to look forward to, or I don't know really what direction I'm going in. And I felt like a very strong sense of not really knowing where I was going, but I knew that I had to keep going for my mental health. Making art after COVID and during COVID is really weird, and I can't wait till it goes back to normal, but things won't be as normal as they were before.
Yeah, one of my um, friends that I work with, he has this phrase of like BC, before Corona, and like AD, death. And I'm just,
Oh my gosh.
but yeah, it's very like, it's a little bit morbid, but I feel like it's
Yeah.
really that feeling of like, oh, there was a before time and there was the
Mm,
the like the aftermath, I guess. And yeah, I
yeah.
think
Things
that
won't ever be the same.
exactly, yeah. But I think it's just about having faith in knowing that your supporters are going to be there, and just like it might be going out
Yeah.
virtual space, but they're going to still be like in your corner and excited about the work.
That's the thing, like, you're right, I do need to trust more about, like, that I'm supported. I guess with Instagram and stuff, we just rely so much on validation, people leaving comments and saying, "Oh, I like this." And sometimes I know other artists feel like this: if they don't get enough comments or likes, they go, "Oh, well, then the artwork must be worthless," or "I'm not as excited about it as much as I was when I was making it." But I'm trying to get over that.
I guess for many artists, this year has been a point of like reflection and time to sort of think about their practice thus far and where the future will lead from here. And I was wondering if you saw, where you see your practice and your numerous projects going from here and into the future.
um, Good question. I hope that my art will reach more people that are looking to read zines and comics, or, autobiographical artworks, because that's how I found a lot of my favorite artists when I was growing up. I could read their stories and relate to what they were going through. And because this is like the strangest time in my life, I really want people to to read about it and take the pressure off me, lift the burden a bit. I hope that I can have more time to work on video work. So I feel like people can get to know me a bit better, and I can sort of relax a little bit more with being on camera, because sometimes it's a bit nerve wracking. I'm sure you know about that. It's hard to think about the future while being so strange and up in the air right now. But I hope that I can have more time to work on personal work instead of portraits. Actually, last year I was working on portraits a lot more, and I said in 2020 I don't want to work on other people's work as much. I want to focus on me more. And so I feel like I've done that. The the Patreon thing has grown a lot more, and so I get a lot more support and a lot more people sort of, I guess, funding that dream of me being able to focus on myself a lot more, which is great.